Welcome back to the lunch table, everybody. And before we start the podcast, I just want to shout out our sponsor, Papa J's Lambanog Vodka. Now, they've been making Lambanog for about 400 years in the Philippines, and all it takes is just this little old man to climb up the coconut tree and grab the nectar from the tree, distill it, and it's done within 7 days. It's hella good. Check them out, papajs.com. Now, let's get to the podcast. Yay! All right, welcome back to the lunch table, Food for Thought. I'm Nico Blitz. You already know where to hit that subscribe button, man. Shout out to my next guest. I've been up on her for probably like 2 years now.
Awesome.
And she just dropped an album last year, Where the Darkside Ends. Reverie, what up?
Yes, what's up? Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, thank you for coming. There's so many factors to why I wanted you on the podcast. Obviously, for one, the music's dope. 2, you've been doing your thing for like it seems like 10 years now or even beyond that. And for 3, like I didn't even realize you had these things called your Satori sessions on your YouTube.
Yes.
And I just went through a spiral of everything and I'm like, yo, she's really giving some fire advice about a whole bunch of shit.
Thank you. I appreciate you looking into it. And yeah, definitely. I have my clothing line. It's called the Satori Mob. It's what I'm wearing right now. And then I started to do these things called Satori sessions, which is basically me talking about life insights that I've acquired and talking about life advice. Because people like when I talk and they don't just like my music. They just like when I speak my mind. So I know that I've been through a lot in my life and I've learned a lot through my life by studying psychology, studying other people, just studying myself. And I want to just share that intellect that I've gained with my followers. And so I decided to call those talks Satori sessions.
Yeah. I got to ask you because I mean, I'm 26 years old and we didn't necessarily grow up in this social media realm where people were like blatantly giving out their opinions like left and right?
Yes.
Do you think that in this day and age you have to do both if you want to be like a rapper or like a singer or whatever? Do you have to like always give out your personality and your opinions to the rest of the world in order to, I guess, have people like really fuck with you?
Yeah, I don't think that you have to, but I think that if you do, you're going to get a different kind of connection than if you don't, because in this day and age of social media, like you said, people do share a lot of their personalities and a lot of their lifestyle. So I feel like when you do that, you are giving people more access to really understand who you are and like or dislike you, so they feel like they have a closer relationship with you, because they do. And people like myself who share a lot of their life, it's really hard to do that, and you have to be very open and you have to be very vulnerable and you have to be very confident as well, because we get a lot of criticism doing that.
A lot.
Yeah.
And I think what's cool about your music in particular, I love the fact that you do this. And for some reason, it's something that doesn't really exist nowadays, is that you storytell and you dive deep into about like your feelings on your record. So when I'm listening to Where the Darkness Ends, I'm like, this is the type of music that people just don't make anymore.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? It's kind of weird that it's, it's a thing, because I feel like in this day and age, everything is just so like algorithm based, or we need to make something for TikTok. We need to do this. What's kept you wanting to just do Reverie for the past like decade or so?
I mean, I feel like being myself is just the easiest thing to do because it's who I am, Even when I started 10 years ago, I dropped my first mixtape and I was just always myself on the tracks. I was myself on the pictures. I was myself in the captions, and that's just what I've kept doing, and it's been working, luckily for me. So I feel like when something's working, you got to just keep doing it, figure out how to do it bigger and better, but definitely just keep doing it if you enjoy doing it. And I do enjoy being myself more and more as the years go on. And so I'm so blessed that people like me being myself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they have to put on this image of trying to be something that they're not, which is not a bad thing, because that's just what some people have to or choose to do. But to be myself and to be genuinely Reverie, Jordan, I just am so blessed that people appreciate that.
I saw this tweet yesterday that's reminding me of this conversation where someone tweeted, people focus on looking successful rather than doing the work to become successful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think within like a 10-year span, like you just constantly doing your thing every day, day in and day out. I think that's really like a tool toward actually being successful to whatever degree you see successful is.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely work a lot. I work more than almost everybody I know. And I even clock in and out. I have this app that I use on my phone, and I swear to God, like right now I'm clocked in for this interview. Like when I post a tweet, I'm clocked in. When I'm designing something, I'm clocked in. When I'm recording a song, I'm clocked in, and I make sure that I hit a certain amount of hours every week because before I did that, yeah, I have to, because before I did that, I've been using this app for like 3 years now, okay? And before I did that, I would always tell people like, oh, I work so much. I work like 50 hours a week. I'm exhausted, blah, blah. And when I first started using the app, I was only averaging like 25 to 30 hours a week. And I was like, oh my God, I'm working less than the average person. Yeah.
So then now that you've been utilizing this app for 3 years now, like how much do you actually work per week based off your app statistics?
I try to work between 50 and 60 hours a week.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. And that's by choice. Because I just, like you said, like, takes a lot of work to be successful, you know, and once you get success, it's harder to keep that success. You know, people think like, oh, I can just make this one song and it's just going to keep me going forever. Like, that's a really rare thing that happens, you know. Usually
not everyone's Soulja Boy.
Yeah. And even Soulja Boy, though, he's done so many, like, I'm not even like a big fan of his music, but I just know about what he's done. And he's done so many things in the game and outside of the rap game, and just to his relevancy, like you brought him up, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
I'm saying,
and everybody brings him up, like this, like, and it's just staying consistent throughout the years. It's really hard to do that, and yeah, it's fun. I love it. I love my job.
So even with, like, let's say Soulja Boy, for example, right? Like, everybody might just look at him as like this rapper, went viral for Crank That, right? But people don't realize that he came out with like a video game console, a clothing line, so on and so forth. And he probably puts in his 50, 60 hours every week, the same as you do, right? So for Reverie, like, what do you fill in those 50, 60 hours of like Reverie work? Like, what do you do within those hours?
So a lot of it is answering emails, and And I hate answering emails so much that I have my team sit down with me and do the emails because I won't do them. So I have people working for me. I have a few people that work with me every single week doing specific things for me. So yeah, they have to sit down with me. How come you haven't answered this email? How come you haven't answered this email? I'm like, I'm so sorry. Okay, let's do it right now. So definitely I need to sit down with my team to do my emails. That's because I'm like the crazy artist, you know. I'm like, yeah, let's paint a picture. Let's go here. Let's go. Let's do it. And so it's hard for me to like sit there and do like shit like that, you know. It's just not my forte. And then another thing will be with the Satori Mob. I have 2 clothing lines now. So I have the Satori Mob, which is my streetwear brand, and then now I just launched a women's brand. It's called the Sassy Party Supply.
Oh shit, okay.
Yeah, so now we have those 2, and I have people who are helping me run those brands as well. So it will be me making, let's say, mood boards for the next drop, or me going over this design that I just got handed to me and tweaking it a little bit. I don't like this, make this bigger, make this smaller, make this one space to the left. And I'm so like anal about little things like that. A lot of people don't even like working with me because I will make the most ridiculous like requests and shit.
Yeah, but I mean, I think from like an artist perspective, you're just trying to make it as perfect as possible.
Right?
You know what I mean? Because I would much rather work with somebody who, in your words, are more anal, because it just makes me feel like they care a lot more.
Yes, exactly. So then, yeah, I work on the clothing lines, and then, for example, I'll try to write a couple songs every week. That takes me at least a couple hours for each one. Recording, depending on how crazy the song is, it could take 1 hour, or it could take, like, for example, last night I was recording myself, and I took 3.5 hours to record half of a verse.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, and it was because I was singing on it. So when I sing on my songs, I take a lot longer to record, and also when I record myself, I take a lot longer because I just get like all weird and creative. And then what else to work on? Like setting up shows, setting up tours, talking with my European manager about the next European tour, you know, getting in contact with my DJ Lala, giving her my new music. Just so many things. And it's like, those are the things that I have to do over and over and over and over every single week, every single day. And it's a new plan. Posting on my social media. Oh my God.
A whole bunch of shit. Making the new Satori session.
Yes. Like, it's just so much shit to do. But I love it. I'm so passionate about what I do. I don't do anything that I'm not passionate about. I don't hang out with people that I'm not passionate about. I don't speak about things I'm not passionate about. I just like to do what I like to do because it just makes it easier when you like something.
Yeah. And I think you're the definition of what an independent artist actually is.
Thank you.
You know, because I think like even getting down to just recording yourself, I don't know how much more independent that can be. You don't have a fucking engineer in the room right now. Like what, you know what I mean? Like, and being just so like on point about, you know, everything between your clothing brands and the music. I can just feel the passion actually resonating from you that I haven't felt from most people. So I really do commend you on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I want to ask you though, like, going through all your Satori sessions, like there were so many things about it where I had to agree with you on like damn near every single thing.
That's cool.
One thing that I talked to, are you aware of who Ritz is?
Ritz, he's a rapper?
He's a rapper,
I don't really know his music that much.
It's all good.
I saw one video one time, like, I don't know, a couple years ago. It was dope, but I don't really know who he is.
No, it's all good. Well, basically, on his last album, he has this song called Politically Correct. And that song resonated with me because I feel like we live in this world where everything's just a lot more PC and it's kind of difficult to just say what you really want to say because there's the fear that somebody else is going to come at you with some backlash. And it's like, no, but I'm just trying to express my opinion.
Yeah.
And if you go on her YouTube page, I think it's Glamorizing Suicide. Where you were kind of like talking about that, and I couldn't help but agree with you on every single note.
Yeah, it was crazy. So on my last album, my new album's out now. It's called Where the Darkside Ends, and there's a song on there. It's called Suicide Hotline, and it's a song that I wrote when I was feeling suicidal and I was feeling depressed and I was feeling like hurting myself and getting fucked up, you know, and I made a song about it. I was really sad. This was when I was still making music out of my,
No, you good.
This is when I was still making music out of my grandma's basement. Because me and Loudon is my brother. He's my producer too. So we worked out of my grandma's basement for like 3 years, I think, something like that. So one day, it was crazy. It was like rats and roaches. It was disgusting. I do not miss it. But shout out to my grandma. So he came into the basement and I was like trying to write on like some sad beat. I was probably writing like on a J Dilla beat or something.
Yeah.
And then he came in and he's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "I'm so depressed, blah, blah." And then he's like, "Oh, you should write a song about it." And I was like, "I can't write right now. I'm just like really sad, you know?" And he's like, "Come on, just write a song about it." And I was like, "Leave me alone." And then he like put on that beat. And it was like it's a crazy beat, you know? It's not like a sad song that I would write a sad song to. And I was like, "I can't write a sad song to this. This is crazy. It doesn't even make sense." And he's like, "Yeah, but it might sound really cool if you write something that doesn't really match on it." And I was like, I mean, I guess I'll try it. Yeah. And I was honestly completely opposed to it, even though I loved the beat. And I did it. And he came back like in a couple hours and he was like, "What the fuck? This is so dope." So I created that song out of a really dark space. Like I was really like he walked into the basement. I was like crying, you know, like, and so I made a song called Suicide Hotline out of that moment. And when I dropped the video, so the video, actually directed the video.
The video's low-key wild, dude.
Yeah,
like, I was looking at it, I'm like, yo, she looking like she belongs in the Joker right now.
Yeah, it's so fucking dope. I produced it with Every Level Media, which is my production company, mine and Loudon's production company. And shout out to Encrypt Los Angeles. She filmed it. And so we put that video together. And the room, if you look at the room, it's all like negative thoughts on the wall.
Yeah, a whole bunch of writing and whatnot.
Yeah, so I wrote all those things. I made that set design. And so basically, it was just really an expression of how I felt, which was depressed and suicidal. And so when I dropped the song, a lot of people liked it, but some people were having a hard time understanding it, and they thought that I was glamorizing suicide, and they were like, "How could you talk about suicide like that? I have somebody I lost to suicide." I was like, man, I have a lot of friends that I lost to suicide, and this is not glamorizing it. It's just me expressing myself and me letting out these demons that otherwise will destroy me, you know? So, but yeah, people were talking about glamorizing suicide. I was like, you haven't heard the song.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
But I think, too, like, after listening to the song and watching the video, I think in a sense, because I also had, like, a friend who committed suicide probably when I was, like, 18 years old. And the only thing I could think of was, like, well, why didn't he tell me what was going on in his life, right?
Yeah.
I could have helped him out that way. And that resonates with me still to this day.
Yeah, I feel
So
that.
as I'm watching the video, I'm just like, wow, this is brilliant because it's a white room with every single negative thought that she's thinking of. This is literally Reverie's way of saying, like, hey, like, if you're feeling some type of way, open up about it, because that's the only way somebody else is going to know.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely one of the reasons why I made that song. I wanted my music to continue to heal people and to give people a voice and to let people know that they're not alone. You know, it's really important to me because when I first started making music, it was not for those reasons. It was just because I wanted to make it, and it was always really personal and always about my life and always really dark. And it's just been crazy over the years how people relate to it and they understand it and they feel some sort of comfort through my music. And I definitely do keep that in mind when I'm creating, but for the most part, I just make my dark music as a form of therapy for myself, and it just continues to be therapy for other people, and it's really cool. Like, that was not my intention when I started doing it. It's just always been that, and so it's really been a trip making music that's been that, you know. Like, not every artist makes music like that, and I like I said, it was not intentional, but I love it.
Well, I think when we all first start out trying to do what we do, we're just like, you know, this is fun, this is making me really happy, and then it's probably not until like year 3, year 4, year 5 where we finally get to recognize what our mission statement is and how people like look at us and like, oh, you know, like your song helped me out through this, your song helped me out through that. So like, I guess within like this past decade or so of you doing music, like what is your mission statement started as, and then what did it end up like becoming to this day?
Man, what did my mission statement start as? I mean, honestly, I don't think there was one.
And same goes for here too. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, man. I was just like, look, this shit is just lit.
For real, yeah. I don't think there was one. Like, look, to be honest with you, the first couple songs that I recorded, I didn't even post them up anywhere. I just wanted to make it for myself. Like, I literally did not share it with anybody. And my homegirls, this is when I was like a senior in high school when I first started recording. My homegirls were like, oh, we want to hear what you made at the studio. I know you went to the studio. And I was like, no way. I'm not going to show you. Like, I just made it for me. And they're like, Jordan, you better fucking show us. We want to hear that shit. And I was like, all right. I was like so shy and embarrassed because it was really personal, you know. And then I showed it to them. And they were like, what the fuck? This is so dope. Like, can I play this for my cousin? Can I play this for my neighbor? Can I play this for my friend? And I was like, oh, I guess, you know, like, if you want to, you know. Like, I'd rather you not, but so they did. And then their neighbors showed up to their neighbors, and their cousins showed up to their cousins, and their shows, and it just kept. Then I put it on MySpace, and I was like, wow.
That's ancient history.
I know.
Fuck, that's how I know you're a real one. You had your shit on my.
Hell yeah. This is like 2000 or 2009. 2009.
Something like that, yeah.
And then I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to put it on MySpace. Like, why not? Everyone wants to hear it. I might as well just put it up there so they can hear it. And then all of a sudden my MySpace started blowing up.
Started popping, yeah.
Yeah. And it was like just so unexpected because I literally did not want anything from it. I just made it because it felt good.
Yeah.
You know? And also, at the time, I was really buzzing around my neighborhood because I was doing a lot of graffiti back then. I used to do, like, a lot of graffiti. I was so crazy. And so my name was buzzing. So when I started making music, it was already like, oh, shit, now she's rapping. Like, what the fuck? And I just went by Reverie. That's what I used to write. Because I didn't think it was going to go anywhere, you know?
So did you grab Reverie from anywhere, or you just...
I did. I mean, that's what I used to tag. But I found it because I was doing my homework. You know when you have to look up definitions, words, like the definitions. So that would be the worst assignment for me, okay? Because I love words. Obviously, I love words. So when I open the dictionary, it's like I just start reading it because there's so many words you don't know that we never use. You know, I'm just like reading. Oh, look at that. That homework assignment would take me like fucking hours, you know? And so when I was like, I don't know how old I was, like 15, 16. I was already tagging, but I wanted to really get into like bombing and piecing and like really putting in work, you know. And so, I knew I needed a real dope, unique name, and so that's when I found that name in the dictionary when I was doing my homework, and it just like stood out to me. Like when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's my fucking name, like, and yeah.
So what does Reverie mean?
It means daydream.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And it's a French derived word. It's English. But you know what's so funny? When I went to Paris for the first time, they were doing an interview like this, and then they're like, "So why did you choose reverie, a French word?" And I was like, "What?" And they're
Like, wait, what? This is a French word?
Yeah.
I just found it in the English dictionary.
Yes,
What you mean?
That's exactly what I said. I was like, "What do you mean a French word?" And they're like, "Reverie, it's a French word."
Ah.
And I was like, "For real?" And they're like, "Oui." I was like,
So you must have had hella people in France just be like, reverie.
Yes.
With the inflections and all that.
Yeah. I feel like I was manifesting me going over there somehow, you know? And so it was just a trip. Yeah, so that's how I got my name, because I used to do graffiti.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Going back to like your graffiti days, like I guess what was the work that you were most proud of?
With graffiti?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely the bombs. And I would say like my craziest spots were like freeway overpasses, like
This is all alleged, by the way. We don't know if this actually happened.
it's past the statute of limitations. It's already like 10 years plus.
Yeah, right.
I don't do it anymore. I don't do graffiti anymore. I don't have time for that shit.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, but I used to hit like freeway overpasses. I'll go over the freeways. Like, you know, you see those crazy spots. Like I would do shit like that. I would paint like trains. I'll paint in yards. I'll paint trucks. I'll paint billboards. Everything. I was crazy.
How do you even like? Because I've always wondered that. How do you even get to the top where like the freeway signs are?
Oh my God. Okay. So
she's like, this is how you do. This is the 101.
So let's say this is the freeway, and then this is the bridge going over the freeway, and you see the graffiti right here. So if you're a big, strong man, you can just, there's usually like a pole going down. You can just shimmy yourself down on the pole or like jump down and then just climb back up. But I was like a tiny little girl. So I couldn't do that. So you know how it goes all the way across like this?
Okay.
Over the freeway, over the river, over this. So you have to start here. And then you go like this all the way there, like.
Oh, hell nah.
And the little ledge that you're standing on, the little ledge for your feet is like this, and your feet hang off.
Oh, hell
so you're like
nah.
literally like this, like.
How long do you think it would take for you to just get from one end to the other, actually do the graffiti, then get back?
Damn, I don't remember. I would say we had to do it within under like an hour, max.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was so crazy. I would never do that now, ever.
I guess, I mean, the moral of that story is anything is fucking possible, as long as you put your mind to it.
Exactly.
So, you know, you put your songs on MySpace simultaneously while you were doing the graffiti. When did you decide to just put everything else to the side and you're like, hey, like rap is really what I'm going to be pursuing for the rest of my life?
I would say that happened around like 2014, I think it was, when I quit my job. And I was already doing tours before that I was booking myself. Because when the first few years that I started, I always wanted to go on tour, see all these rappers going on tour, on tour. And I was like, oh my God, I want to go on tour. And like, nobody was asking me to go on tour. You know, it just was not happening. And so I realized really early on in the game that you have to do everything for yourself. You can't wait for somebody to give you this opportunity, because it's most likely not going to fall in your hands. You have to go make it. And so I started setting up my own tours. I think I started setting them up like in 2013, I want to say. In 2014, I was doing my own tours.
Where were you touring?
In the United States. Like, I was all over California. I also went to Denver, Colorado, Salt Lake City, Utah, Las Vegas, Nevada, Phoenix, Arizona, Yuma, Arizona, Tucson, Arizona.
Damn, you were all over the place.
Yeah, I went to a lot of spots. I did a lot of stuff. And then I booked these all myself. And when I booked them, this was when I was pulling, like, let's say 30 people in a show. So I couldn't book a venue and pay $2,000 to book the venue and then $1,000 for the sound and the DJ and this and that. So I found ways to find bars that would let me play for free, or like a ballet studio, or like whatever. And I bought my own speakers and my own DJ shit. And Loudon was on the road with me, and I rented the van. I booked the talent. I booked the hotels. We would have like we would be sleeping in like a $60 motel with like fucking 10 people in there. Like the whole tour would be sleeping in the same room, like on the floor, in the tub, in the car, like everything.
So look, we're rotating every 3 hours, y'all.
Yeah.
Keep it
like,
moving.
We were driving ourselves. We were making the flyers. I was making my merch, you know, all of these things that go into a tour I was doing it myself because I knew that nobody was going to do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, after a couple years of me doing that, I started getting booked. And now I don't book my own tours. And now people pay me to do tours.
Mm-hmm.
And I have hundreds of people at my shows now. And it's just crazy. The progression has been crazy. But yeah, so it was around then, though, that I quit my job. I had like a bunch of weird jobs. Like I worked at McDonald's. I worked as a dishwasher. I worked at the Home Depot. I worked at Lady Foot Locker. I worked at a jewelry store.
Damn.
And then I was working at weed dispensaries.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to jail like a few times because they got raided. And then I just... it was crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah, I lived a crazy life.
Jesus Christ.
I know.
I'm just happy you're here. I don't want to say anything else. Shout out to Reverie for pulling up. She's lived a very crazy life.
So then one day I was just like, you know what? I think I want to try to do my music like full time, you know, and it was scary because I was making a little bit of money off of it. I was because of all the shows I was throwing,
Mm-hmm.
but it was not a lot of money, you know, but it was enough to just keep making more and paying for my rent, which was very small because I was living in my grandma's house. I was very blessed in that aspect. I got to stay there for very cheap, and I was just making enough money to keep everything flipping. I was learning how to flip shit. And then in 2015, that's when I really moved out on my own and started paying all my bills and all my rent with my music.
All right, y'all. So long story short, I was DJing at the club the other night, and they were passing out free bottles. As soon as I took a shot of this drink, I turned back to the guy and said, "What is this?" He said it's Papa J's Lambanog straight from the Philippines. I'm talking about I had a couple of these shots throughout the night, and I was feeling hella good by the time I was done DJing. I didn't even have a stank face with any single shot that I took. Now, if you go to papajs.com right now and use the promo code LUNCH, you'll get $25 off delivery and have Papa J's directly onto your doorstep. Yay! So continue. You said you were working multiple jobs. And then, you know, you were living at your grandma's crib at the time, like just barely making rent, so on and so forth. Like, when did everything start to just like click and become just a little bit more easy?
It was definitely in 2015 because that's when I moved out of my grandma's house and I got my own spot. And since then, I've been doing my own thing. And yeah, I mean, it's just really important when you want to be an entrepreneur to learn how to budget. You know, and to learn how to be consistent and to learn how to not be scared to invest and to carry out your plans. If you could do those things, you'll be good, but most people can't.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really hard. It's really hard to do those things, but that was when I really got the hang of doing those things regularly. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think people are scared to take L's too, whether it be like monetarily. You know what I mean? Because it's like we always hear about like reinvesting in yourself, flipping shit. And, you know, literally the same saying is you need to spend money to make money.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But I'm sure there's been like a couple times in your life where you're just like, fuck, dude, I put all this shit in and I'm not necessarily seeing the return right now.
Oh, no, it still happens. Yeah, like I've lost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars over the years doing what I'm doing. And that's just part of the game. Yeah, like people don't want to lose. Like on the road to success, it's a constant situation of either win or lose. You know what I mean? Like you can't always win. You're not going to always win. You're not going to always sell out every show. You're not going to always sell out every merchandise. You're not going to always have a hit record. You're not going to always it's like there's not a consistency to any of these things that's promised. You know, like it's just not. And it's just really good to study the outcome of everything you do, study what the people like, study what you like, and really meet yourself in the middle. And I feel like that's why most artists stay broke and don't go anywhere, because most artists are just like, oh, that's my art. Don't touch it. Don't tell me how to do it. That's what it's going to look like. I don't care if you like it. But, like, that's cool if you want to be a broke, starving artist forever. That's fine, you know.
Yeah.
But if you want to go bigger and go to bigger levels that most people will not reach, you have to meet yourself in the middle with your art and the business. And the business basically means, what do the people want? You know, like, because if you just give it, oh, I'm just gonna give them this, and then some people will always like it, they'll always buy it, you know, because that's your day ones and stuff. But a lot of fans, especially, like, I'm getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and now not most of my fans, but most of my new fans don't really have a personal connection with me the way most of my older fans do.
Yeah.
You know, they're just like new to me. They've only known me for a year. They don't even know a lot of my music. Maybe they know 2 of my songs. A lot of people on Instagram don't even know my music. They just like my Instagram, you know, and that's cool, but it's just a different kind of fan. But point being, I'm saying that because you have to cater to the bigger audience. You can't just only cater to these few people, or it's just going to always be those few people. Yeah.
So then how do you, let's say you acquire new fans, like, over the years and whatnot, like, how do you cater both to them and to the people who are already accustomed to how you sound at the same time?
I don't cater to people who were listening to me back in the day unless they still like what I do, because I know a lot of people always are focusing on their old fans, but I do love my old fans, but I don't love my old fans that want me to be the old me. And I always talk about that publicly, and because I am an artist that is evolving. I'm a person. I've been making music for 10 years. So if you want me to be who I was 10 years ago, then go fuck off, you know, because I was in a terrible place 10 years ago, you know, and my music keeps evolving. And I'm lucky because a lot of my day one fans do appreciate my evolution, and they do still stand by me, and they're so happy for my growth and my success. Like,
And I guess in a sense too, like your true fans would have to evolve with you as time's going on.
Yes, exactly. A lot of them, they've been listening to me for 10 years, so they are growing with me, you know, and some of the people got stuck behind. And I'm always telling my fans that complain about my new music, they're like, oh, I miss when you were this. I miss when you were depressed. I miss when you were talking about heartbreak. I miss when you blah, blah. I'm like, okay, first of all, you haven't heard my new album because I still talk about that shit. First of all, I dropped a whole fucking 13 tracks of depression, okay? So you haven't even heard my new record. But second of all, why are you still stuck 10 years ago?
Yeah.
You know, why do you want to feel like you did 10 years ago or 5 years ago, you know? Fucking move on. Like, let go. Like, you know? And I always say that. I say it at my shows. I say it on my social media. And I really want to plant that seed in people's head because I feel like they don't even think about it like that. Because I swear to God, I say this all the time, and especially at my concerts when I'm, like, saying it. I turn off all the music and I say, I'm old fans, blah, blah. But why do you want me to make you feel like you did 10 years ago? Why can't you let go? And I swear to God, half of the crowd goes like this. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're
like,
right.
They've never thought about
Yeah.
it. And I was like, oh, shit. So I keep doing that at all my shows. And I just think it's a really good perspective for people to get, you know? And because it was hard for me to let go of being like that too, you know? But I feel so much better now letting go of all that shit, you know? So honestly, I don't try to sound like I used to because I don't want to sound. I don't want to be that person that I was 10 years ago. I'm not that person that I was 10 years ago, and I'm not going to let anybody box me in. And that's another, I would call it a mistake. I think it's a mistake when people make the same thing over and over and over and over, because then if you ever do want to go a little this way, that your fans are not going to like it.
That's true.
They're, oh, I missed Old Town. Oh, I miss it. And people tell me that too. Oh, I miss your Old Town. Oh, I miss it. But most people are used to me always reinventing myself. So they like the new shit. They're like, oh, what you gonna do next? What's gonna happen now? It's like, you know, it's like if you're watching a television show and you're gonna watch the same season, 12 episodes over and over and over and over and over and over. I mean, it's cool, but you already know what's gonna happen. And it's a cool storyline, but you've already seen it before. But wouldn't you rather have 12 seasons? You know, if it's gonna be consistently dope. Like, I like new shit, you know? I don't want to stay repeating the same shit. Yeah, that's my perspective on it. Yeah.
Well, that's a really good perspective. I mean, I agree. I agree with everything that you're saying. Well, because, you know, also too, like, I think when we're like in our teenage years, right, that's when we feel like the world is always like pinned against us and whatnot. So you know, naturally that's when you get like the depressive music. Like, you know, like if you're talking about like the kids nowadays who are like 15, 18, 19, who they make the music now, like a lot of it's like very depressing.
Yeah, it's very depressing.
And, you know, what's crazy is that you get the older heads talking about like, man, why is everybody talking about this depression rap, da-da-da. But it's like, but if you put yourself back then, we were all depressed for some fucking reason.
Fuck yeah.
It's just that we had nothing else to look, you guys had nothing like else to look back at.
Yeah.
At that time, you know?
Definitely feel that.
And, you know, I think it's brave of you for making an album called Where the Darkness Ends, because
Where the Darkside Ends.
Where the Darkside Ends. Yeah. Because it sounds like you're just putting a close to all the depression and everything that you were going on throughout like your life.
Yeah, and that's really what that album encapsulates. Like, I just have really been working on self-growth and my evolution, especially the past like 2-3 years of my life. I was just tired of always being depressed, you know, and I was already like, when did I make this realization? Maybe I was like 25, 26, and I just thought to myself, like, damn, I'm already 26 and I'm still fucking depressed and I'm still suicidal and I'm still destroying myself with drugs and keeping people around me who are not good for me. And I just told myself, like, if I'm already 26 and I'm still doing this, like, I could probably live my whole life like this if I don't change it now, you know? And that was a really big realization when I thought about that, because 26 years is a long time. And I grew up obviously in a really dysfunctional household, and my family has a lot of problems, like most families do, you know? But that set me up to continue habits of self-destruction as an adult, you know? And over the years, I've really began to research a lot of psychology and human behavior, and it's helped me really understand myself, and it's helped me to be inspired to change for the better, and it's helped me educate myself on the fact that I can break these generational curses that are on my family, you know. And yeah, that's what I've been doing, and I just really feel like for the most part I'm over those things. I live a really good life now to myself. Like, I treat myself with a lot of love and a lot of respect. And I always tell people this, like, treat yourself with the same love and respect that you treat the people you love. Because a lot of us, we'll be nice to our friends, we're nice to our mom, we're nice to our lover. But when it comes to us, oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, I'm a fucking failure. Oh, I'm so dumb. Oh, why the fuck did I do that? Oh, I'm so, you know, and it's like, you wouldn't talk to somebody you love like that. Yeah. So why are you talking to yourself like that? Why are you hurting yourself? And I just realized that I was like, damn, I really want to just change my life, because I know that life could be better than it is. And so the past couple years, I really devoted a lot of my time to that, and it's just made such a drastic improvement on my life. And so this album, actually, it was a 3-year project. We were making this album for 3 years. I hadn't dropped an album for 2 years before this one, and we were making this album for 3 years. So this was a really interesting album to release because a lot of the songs were very old. I didn't even really feel them as much as I did when I made it. So it was really, really weird finally dropping this project as a whole and having to revisit a lot of those things that I am over for the most part, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it must have been difficult, or it must have been like interesting, I guess, you being where you are, like your current mental space and like your mental health, and looking back and being like, wow, I can't believe this is what I've been thinking over the past 3 years of my life. It's kind of like a memory. It's like an audio memory book, if you will.
It's for sure that's exactly what my albums are. Definitely.
Well, let's look forward now. The next decade. What do you got coming up for like the next decade, the next year? New album? What do you have?
I do have a new album in the works. Me and Loudon are working on our 5th collaborative album together. And I can't really talk about it much yet, but it's going to be dope as fuck. Okay. And it's going to be our biggest, best album. and it's going to have a lot of really cool collaborations. And that's all I can say for now.
All right. Sounds good. I appreciate the honesty 100%.
Yes. Thank you so much.
So, I actually just posted this on my Instagram, and everyone's talking about manifest all your goals 2020.
Yeah.
And just one comment that I have to say on that, like, don't just say it out loud, but actually work toward getting that.
Yes.
So what kind of goals do you have in plan for yourself for the next decade?
The next decade, I am going to be dropping a lot of music. I definitely want to hit new continents with the touring. I really want to go to Asia. I really want to go to Australia. I really want to tour more in South America. I am starting to make music in other languages because I'm learning other languages.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's really
like
cool.
what languages?
Like Spanish and Portuguese.
Okay.
For now, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm working on a little bit of German, French, yeah. I want to be like Manu Chao.
Well, I mean, with Reverie, you kind of have to go the French route now. Escargot, oui, all that.
Yes. I am going to keep doing my Satori Mob clothing line, my Sassy Party clothing line. And I want to get into acting. I want to get into more modeling. I want to model for bigger, more high-end brands. And I want to just keep evolving with my team. I have my production company, Every Level Media. We're just going to keep making music, videos, and doing a lot of other productions. And I'm getting into producing beats with Loudon.
There we go.
Yeah, I still need a lot of his help, but I'm sitting there doing it with him, like, only on some beats. He does most of that stuff. Shout out to Loudon, too, by the way. Shout out to Loudon, my brother. And, yeah, I mean, there's just so many blessings ahead of me, and I'm just so grateful and humbled by everything that's coming my way, honestly, because... Like I said, when I started, it was just for me. I didn't even want to show anybody my music. So now my music is paying all my bills. I have people working for me. I'm touring the world. I'm able to give my mom money every month now. And it's just really become this thing that I never ever imagined. And the more success I get, I'm just getting more and more humbled by it. Like, I know a lot of people the head gets bigger, but my head's getting smaller as this shit is expanding because it's just unbelievable. And I guess I'm just in a good place mentally and spiritually. So I just really appreciate it as it's a fucking blessing, you know? Like 10 years ago, I was fucking in a completely different place than I am now in like just bad, you know? And I'm just so grateful.
Well, Reverie, I can't wait to see where you are, like, where you are with your family, where you are with your music, and where you are, like, mentally, like, another 10 years from now. So thank you for stopping by the lunch table.
Thank you so much for
Where can everybody find you?
You can find me on every social media under @ReverieLove. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook.
Still Snapchat?
Yeah, just I don't even really post on it, but just in case. People still ask me. They're like, Snapchat? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I use it like once a month, but follow me. My YouTube channel, my website is ReverieLove.com. You could just Google me, Reverie. Yeah, Reverie rapper.
This is the lunch table.
Yeah, make sure you check out my clothing line, Satori Mob. Yeah.
Mobbin'. This is the lunch table. Food for thought. I'm Nico, Blitz, Reverie, and we are out, everybody. Yay!